What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? So today's video is all about marketing myself as an online business. Now, in fact, I am an online business and everything else, but I started an idea a few weeks ago as if putting myself in the shoes of different industries. This was a common one. I had a lot of different coaches, consultants, and a whole range of people in between who offer some sort of service online or through some sort of working from home situation. If you couldn't tell, this is the exact same situation that I'm in. So what I wanted to share was things that you could do to market yourself online. What are the fundamental bases that you need to have covered, and what should you be working towards long term, as well as some tips and bits and pieces in between. So without further ado, let's roll the intro and get into it. Okay, so if you're brand new to this channel and you haven't already, make sure you subscribe, because we're talking all things bringing out your uniqueness, really understanding who you are in marketing, life, business, everything else in between. So in today's video, I'm going to be focusing on 3 core foundations with everything that I'm talking about. The first one being consistency. You'll hear obviously a little bit more about that. The second one being building a list, an email list, and or an audience, or even better, both. And then the third one being generating attention, but not just any attention, building attention where you actually generate trust. Okay, this is really important because anyone can get attention by doing dumb shit. What you're looking to do is really build trust around the result that you say you can do or you can deliver. We want to build trust with your audience to show them that you can actually deliver that thing. It must be said, the foundation of any marketing that you do should be about building valuable relationships. If your intention is to provide divine service, give as much value as you can to the relationships that you're about to build in your marketing machine, everything else will fall into place. This foundation is so essential to everything that you do. Please take note. So now that you understand how important relationships are, the next thing is about consistency. And this is really just consistency in your communication. If you're a husband, if you're a wife, if you're a father, if you're a mother, or even if you are single and you just have friends and family and all those other things, you'll know that the relationships that you value the most have effective communication. And this is where consistency in your marketing is so important with the relationships that you build. And this is where you need to realize that if you're hopeless at forgetting things and getting to things, that you need to set a schedule in place. And this schedule is so vital, just as it's vital to brush your teeth in the morning, have a shower, do your thing, because these are the relationships that you're building for the immediate now as well as the future. Now, for some people watching, you may be thinking to yourself, you know what, but I don't have the time to build the consistency in my social media platforms and all these other things. This is where you've got to consider outsourcing. And this is why do what you do best, outsource the rest. And if you can focus in on your zone of genius and work with, whether it is a team like the one that we offer, where we create video content or whatever the case is, as long as you're building the consistency within your schedule, this is going to allow you to still maintain and do what you do best, and also have your relationships consistently building in the background while you're doing your thing. And be realistic about this as well. Now, not everyone can post 10 to 15 pieces of content a day like Gary Vee. You have to think about what's realistic for you, what are you capable of doing, and what can you invest in to maintain that consistency and build the relationships that are valuable to you. So now we move on to key number 2, which is all about building an email list and building an audience. Now, why this is important, first and foremost, is because if you ever get to the point where you're ready to sell your business or looking for an exit strategy on your business, the one thing that your business is going to be valued on is the clients that you serve and the list or the client database that you have when it comes to the business, the service, and everything else that you offer. Now, without putting a couple of simple things in place to build your list, build your audience, and all of those other things in between is absolutely bizarre And I know for so long I procrastinated on building an email list. And the moment I did, I literally wish I could go back. There's a few minor things that you need to do, which I will cover on not only in this video, but also in future videos, about how to make sure that you're implementing a strategy to consistently build your list. Just to touch on this, the easiest way to build your list is by providing something for free and or some sort of downloadable guide and or something that's just extremely valuable. Some people, will do a checklist, or they'll, give a 1, 2, 3 guide on how to achieve, some said results and things like that. I personally have a guided meditation that I give people access to. You can check the link out below to see that, but effectively, the purpose of whatever this downloadable thing is to exchange something of incredible value in exchange for someone's name and email address. And if you can collect more details, then by all means go for it. But effectively, what you're looking to do is you're just looking to exchange as much value as possible in order to keep those person's details on file so that you can keep in touch with them, potentially market to them in the future in an authentic way, and just maintain a relationship as best as you possibly can. You know that on average, the most fruitful relationships do take 90 to 120 days before someone converts or someone is ready to take action on your product and service. That changes the whole perspective on your marketing. And for anyone doing any sort of high ticket, when I say high ticket, I'm talking about anything that's over $500 all the way through to $20,000 as a product or a service, or whatever the case is. This is where you need to effectively realize that this process, this relationship needs nurturing and needs, value, and you want to be that person at the end of the 90, 120 days, 6 months, 12 months, whatever the case is. You want to be that person that they think of when they're ready to make that purchasing decision. And if you're doing your marketing effectively and building the relationship with value, this is where you're going to absolutely nail it. And the third one that we're going to talk about today, and the third key again, is talking about generating attention online, really building trust around the product, the service, and what it is that you do offer, and showing people how you actually generate those results online through a digital presence. So for those of you who actually do have some money and are prepared to spend money to really see the fruits of your investments, work in your marketing, there's 3 really good investments that I would suggest making. The first one is actually a photo shoot. Now, photo shoots are great for having images and content that you can write posts about, and I'll talk a little bit more about this. The second one that I'd suggest is a video content presence. This is something me and my team offer. Of course, Alan, you're talking about it. Effectively, a video presence just allows you to focus on what you do. We take care of your video presence. If you'd like more details, there's obviously some details below, but having a video presence set and forget and done for you, it's a worthwhile investment. And the third one that I'd definitely invest in is learning how to write effective posts. Effectively, this is effectively storytelling. So not only writing, but also being able to share your story with metaphors, with all these sorts of things. These are things that if you have the money to invest in to become a better communicator and share your story in an authentic way, these are things that are ultimately just going to help your marketing that much better, be that much more effective, and people are going to pay much more attention because of your communication style. And the next thing that we're going to talk about is structuring out your content. Okay, and I've got 3 points again, and my first one is all about showing behind the scenes. Now, depending on the product, the service, especially if you have a confidential service where you can't actually talk about your clients and all their situations and circumstances, maybe you need to generalize, maybe you just need to find a creative way. By showing behind the scenes, like what I sometimes do is I take little stories and things like that behind the scenes, behind the camera, and talk about, like, show some of the conversations, show some of the setup, show some of the things that we're doing behind the scenes with video and everything else. And this allows people to envision themselves sitting in this seat, working with us and our crew and getting the results that they're looking to intend to get. Again, the whole purpose of this is to have people envision themselves working with you, using your product, using your service. That's why behind the scenes stuff is really effective. Number two, in your schedule, you should also be talking about the results that you generate. Now, the best way to potentially do this can either be through case studies where you crunch through the numbers of the situation, circumstances. For a coach, this may be as simple as having incredible testimonials of people who are sprouting your service, sprouting what it is that you do, and talking about the results that they've been able to achieve in their life, in their marketing, whatever it is that you're doing and offering. Now, again, understandably, not everyone has the ability to do this depending on the confidentiality and privacy and all those other things, but get creative and look at ways that you can help generate results and really show people the results that you generate. This is important to not only building the trust aspect of having someone invest in you, especially if they're paying a premium to get an intended result. And the last part, number three, about structuring out your content is talking and sharing vulnerably. And this is where storytelling and having the ability to storytell really plays out. When people are looking to generate a particular result, they're looking for people who they can trust and who offer a product and or a service and or a structure that allows them to get that intended result. Now, if they like you and they like your service and or the person you are and or the values that you work upon and or the morals that you have during your process and structure and everything else, this is where the real trust is going to happen. So coming back, number one, having people envision themselves working with you to begin with. Number two, showing them that you can generate the result that you say you can generate. And number three, being a likable person that they are going to enjoy the experience working with you. Working with you is going to be the best possible outcome for the result that they're looking to achieve. Now, I'm going to quickly touch on platforms because platforms change all the time and everything else. And I don't want you to get too bogged into it because, again, the platforms and everything else will come down to who you are, what you're capable of, potentially what you're able to invest in, and also the time and energy that you can put towards these things. Effectively, YouTube is a long-term game. Now, if you don't already have a YouTube presence and or you're looking to get started, this is where, SEO and being consistent and all those other things really does pay off. There's a whole stack of strategy around search engine optimization, SEO, but this is where you start to really get inquisitive on what are the questions that people are asking me, or what are common things that people ask me that I can put into a how-to video or a value-based video that's ultimately going to help someone go from here to here, and I can help them with the tips in between. Facebook and Instagram stories are perfect for doing stuff on the run. Literally whip out your phone like I do. I often get little, behind the scenes shots of my video shoots and everything else, sometimes meetups and things like that. This is a great way to envision people, to have, again, people envision themselves working with me and or my team and getting the result that we help them generate. Facebook Lives, YouTube Lives, Instagram Lives, these are perfect for getting interaction, asking questions, sharing something that's on the cusp or that's very, very relative. If something happens or changes to policies, interest rates, something that's very relevant in your world and you can share it immediately, this is where Facebook Live is almost setting you up as a news reporter, the news outlet for your audience. Think about how effective that could be and what would then happen for people who are thinking about those situations and circumstances within your market. Image-based content is not dead. Now, as much as I spruik and talk about video, image-based content is so effective and people still do read. This is why investing into learning how to storytell and learning how to write effective copy and share your story during that process is such a worthwhile investment. So this is where the use of an effective image and effective copy where you're sharing your story will come into play. And trust me, you can thank me later for this one. And last but not least, this is something I've been asked a little bit recently, and that's TikTok. TikTok is one of these platforms where you need to use it as a creative outlet and not expect results immediately. Just like any good relationship, people are going to follow you for entertainment purposes and your creative outlet and your creative way of sharing and expressing what it is that you do and all those other things. But again, Don't invest into tech, don't put your energy and insights and all those other things into TikTok unless you're willing to play the long game, unless you're willing to build real relationships, and unless you're willing to just use it as a creative outlet, have fun, and everything else will follow from there. If you're having fun and you're using your creativity, everything else will take care of itself on that platform. And I should say all platforms, but for all that means, have fun. Use these platforms as creative outlets, because again, what this comes down to is effective relationships. And if you're building effective relationships through your creative outlets, through your passion, through what it is that you have to offer, this is where everything's going to fall into place. So before I finish up, there is a special mention that I would like to make, and that is to creating events. Now, events are great for, and I'm talking specifically about online events or in-person events. In-person events is great. Now, it does take a lot of courage. You do need to grow some balls or lady balls to do it, but I promise you will stand out immediately, because not everyone's willing to take this step. And if you're willing to take this step and really stand out and really back yourself during this process, there is a lot that you can learn, regardless of how successful it is money-wise. There's a lot of things that you will learn through the process of running and operating your own events. And this is a perfect way of really standing out. Now, obviously, I've just covered off a whole lot. What I'm going to do is, in the bottom of the show notes here, I'm going to put in the notes that I've used to share with you about, creating content and everything else that I've sort of pointed out. What I'd also like to say and suggest is, if you're interested in running an event, creating a structure, creating a whole stack of other things, and you're interested in some of the things that I've talked about today, I would love to know in the comments, what have you found most valuable and what would you like me to go deeper into? Whether that is building an email list, whether that is how to actually structure out your content, even just a deeper dive on what to do on Monday, what to do on Tuesday, all those other things, please leave your comments below, because I do plan on doing more videos in the future and I will deep dive these specific areas, but I'd love to know from you what you want to hear. And if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on the future videos that I do around, content schedules, doing events, online, offline, all those other things in between. I'm going to be talking about a lot of these different things in the future, so make sure you hit that subscribe button. I hope you found a lot of value in today's video. There was a whole stack, but make sure if you have any questions or anything else, leave a comment below. Reach out if you have any questions. Love you and leave you. Go get it.